Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted and privileged to welcome a very, very senior professional from the healthcare sector from Nashville, Tennessee, USA, Mr. Corey Alexander. Corey, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Corey is the president of the Ross Health Group. He has been a commissioned officer candidate in the U.S. Army National Guard. He's a board member for Doing Good TV on the First Start Museum and College Bound Athletics Foundation. He's been recognized in Nashville's Top 30 Under 30, and this year was awarded the Nashville Business Journal's Top 40 Under 40. So I can straight away say that you are a millennial who I'm speaking to. But Corey, what an amazing journey. Before we talk about the Ross Health Group and about health, tell me about your journey to the top.
Oh man, Ashutosh, thank you for having me, but I don't know that I've made it to the top yet. And I think that's the point of all of it, is that we want to continue to strive to achieve excellence. But for me, I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, originally, out in the Western United States. I grew up all over the country, traveled all over the country. My father was in professional sports, and I then eventually got into collegiate sports and became a pretty good athlete myself. Wow. Went to the University of Tennessee, where I graduated with a degree in political science, earned my master's degree, went on to earn my doctorate degree, and start companies. Ultimately, all I wanted to do was to help people. I wanted to create opportunities for people to grow, to learn, and for myself to try and accomplish different things in different sectors. Joined the military, and eventually had the opportunity to lead soldiers, and that's what I'm still doing while leading companies. Wow. So it's been a long journey, but it's been extremely rewarding.
Fascinating. So let's now talk about the Ross Health Group. Tell me about the group, and then how has your transition been from a CFO to the CEO?
Absolutely. So with Ross, we are a 15-year-old company, started by Dr. Mari Ross. Started off as a behavioral health practice, all mental and behavioral health and counseling. We've grown into a more health-focused organization, providing med management, counseling, consulting, group therapy. For me, I started at Ross in 2010. Back when I was in school, I started at Ross Behavioral doing human resources and front office work, back office work, reception, a little bit of billing, some recruiting. Grew with the company and then left and came back in 2017 as CFO. Okay. The transition was complicated, to say the least. Walking into Ross that had grown exponentially, and we didn't have a whole lot of financial structure. It was a task that was a huge undertaking for me, but it gave me the opportunity to really hone my skills, show my expertise in certain areas, to lead people, and then eventually walk into the operations and then the CEO role, which is where I'm at.
Amazing, amazing. So you mentioned that the group focuses on behavioral health services. Yes. Tell me a little more about the kind of work that you are doing, and if possible, give me an example.
So behavioral health services are in particular is counseling and then mental health therapy. It could be anything from grief, trauma, depression, anxiety, stress-related mental illness, even things such as divorce counseling and family counseling. For us, therapy is part of holistic wellness. If you heal the mind and treat the mind, oftentimes you can heal and treat the body more effectively. And that's what we really focus on. So for us, it could be as simple as you need somebody to talk to, and we're going to be there to help and assist and make sure that you have a counselor that can meet your needs.
And when you look at the behavioral health challenges, what are some of the key challenges we are facing in the US today?
We live in a country and honestly in a world that needs people to be there for you. We deal with a lot of stressors, whether it's the issues of poverty or the issues of race discrimination or prejudice, or a country that we have some issues with gun violence. And it's an everyday thing that becomes taxing on the mind. So in the United States, especially, those are the issues that we see is how do we manage our day-to-day stressors and anxieties around everyday life?
Very interesting. And when, you get people who would like to come and seek your support and your help, what are some of the symptoms to watch out for? Because it must first come from the individual, the family, before they come to you.
Absolutely. Self-awareness and seeing the signs in other people's critical. So if you have a person in your life or even yourself that you may think needs some mental health care, needs to talk to somebody, look for signs of drastic changes in diet, drastic changes in energy, behavior that is erratic. And I don't mean a kid has a lot of energy and they're doing kid-like things. It's no, this is behavior that's not necessarily ever been normal for this individual. Or for yourself, if you feel yourself closing off to the world and that's not usually how you are, or sudden and extreme mood changes, these are all potential signs that there may be something going on internally inside the mind that you just need to talk about. And what we say in this world is every therapist needs a therapist. Correct. So it doesn't matter how knowledgeable you are about something, doesn't matter if you work in the field, everyone needs somebody to talk to. Everyone needs an outlet that's a positive outlet to be able to convey however they're feeling.
Very interesting. And when you talk about a lot of the mental health challenges, and I've spoken to many experts in this field over the last so many years, I've often wondered that, I don't have a problem in telling you that I'm diabetic. But if another organ of my body, which is my brain, is giving me a little trouble, I don't want to talk about it. Right. Why is it that mental health challenges are still talked about in hushed tones?
It's the stigma that if you talk about mental health, or if you say, I have some mental health issues, that people think you're crazy. It's the automatic, something's wrong with you, I don't want to be around you. Or it's you're insane if you say there's something going on in your brain. And that's not the case. What the honest truth is, we all deal with mental health stressors. Correct. It doesn't mean that those are serious issues. And even if they are, that's okay. We all have these things that we need to deal with. But every single person on earth has dealt with stress, has dealt with anxiety, has dealt with a level of grief. If you lose your puppy, you're going to deal with grief. And there's going to be trauma associated. Is that mental health? Is that a mental health issue? Yes. Yes, it is. It may seem simple, but that's something that we don't have to talk about in hushed tones. That's something that we need to talk about in this world, especially about not suppressing our feelings. It doesn't mean you aren't strong. It doesn't mean that you aren't a brave or courageous individual because you say, I need help, or I need to talk about this with somebody. It actually means the opposite. It means you have a lot of bravery and courage. Well said. Especially to be vulnerable.
Great response. Thank you. And, we have seen this, even something like depression is not talked about very often till we had one of our top Bollywood stars 2.5, 3 years ago came out and said that I have went through depression, and suddenly it became a topic that was acceptable to be discussed. So is it that we need some kind of influencers talking about mental health challenges for it to be acceptable, because it can have serious implications for an individual?
Just like anything in this world, there has to be a voice and a leader sometimes that makes that bold move that people start to follow, because it can be a bit scary, to be honest, about these things. So having the top Bollywood star, or having someone from the president's cabinet or the office of certain leadership platforms to say it's okay to do this. And we see that in the United States, and our Hollywood stars coming out and saying, mental health is a big deal and we need to talk about it. So yes, you're absolutely right. Sometimes we do need a push from someone that has a lot of visibility to say it's okay.
Well said. The other question is the pandemic. We've just about started to come out of the pandemic, I hope. Uh, what is the impact, in your opinion, the pandemic has had on mental health?
The pandemic has been the single most impactful event that has changed mental health in the past. I honestly believe. I think the pandemic shed light on a tremendous number of issues that people didn't realize they had, especially with themselves or in the family sphere, uh, in their careers, in their overall happiness, that it allowed mental health to really break through a lot of ceilings and the top of the mental health, especially in people who recognize they weren't happy at work. Well, the pandemic forced everybody to go home and work from home.
Correct.
Then they realized, okay, I would rather do something else. Or they were at home and realized, I'm not happy at home. There are things at home that I don't like or don't want to deal with, or I don't want to be with my spouse, or my kids are stressors for me, or I don't like being alone. This prompted a lot of people to come into the sphere of the mental health world and talk about these issues. The pandemic really opened up a lot of doors, and I won't say created a lot of issues, but shed light on a lot of things that people just weren't dealing with.
And have some of these pandemic related issues started to come under, I don't know if control is the right word, but have the numbers started to come down, or are they still there?
So things are starting to slow down a little bit in the mental health world for us, especially. But numbers are still at an all-time high. We're still getting a lot of referrals, a lot of people coming in for sessions and booking appointment time with therapists. But I will say that since we're coming out of the pandemic, the sun's starting to shine a little bit more for people. Things are starting to slow down a little bit.
Wonderful. The other question that I've often been asked is from parents of young children, saying, how do we determine that there are mood and anxiety disorders for my child?
So going back a little bit to one of my earlier statements is that behavior piece. If kids are naturally full of energy, a little bit erratic as it is, and all over the place, they're growing, they're learning, they're full of life. If you see drastic changes in that, in a child's normal behavior, that could be a sign that there may be some sort of mood or anxiety related issue there. We do our best not to diagnose children early because they're still so early on in the development process, to where we don't want to create an issue that's not there. And oftentimes a lot of those issues are related to the parent more so than they're related to the child. Parents don't like to hear that, but it's the truth.
Correct.
But if you see major changes in mood or anger, or a child who's not normally very quiet to become very quiet, and you start noticing things that aren't normal, that could be a sign that you may want to pay attention, that there may be something more going on. And if it escalates, especially, you may want to talk to someone.
Interesting. And do you see any kind of a pattern amongst elderly individuals, or do you see anything in the amongst the younger, the millennials and the Gen Zs who are now getting into positions of power and influence in their own organizations?
Related to mental health, the patterns that we see, especially with the elderly, is grief. Age is hard for a lot of people, and as you get older, you lose things. And when you start to lose, not only people, lose things that you used to be very sharp about yourself, it's difficult. So dealing with the fact that life is terminal for everyone at some point, that's hard. It's hard for our older population. But that's something that we treat delicately, and that we look at legacies and the great things we've done more than anything. But for millennials, stress. Stress is the number one cause of mental illness right now for the millennial population, because we live in a world that it's instant. We can have our hands on anything. There's so much coming at you that the pressure of being successful is there, even if it's not really there for the millennial age group. So some of these patterns are frequent, are common, and they're generational. For my parents' generation, my grandparents' generation, there was always you got to be better than we were. that can be a lot of pressure. So managing those stressors, those anxiety related issues is really critical for that age group as well.
Mm-hmm. And when you talk about the younger people, the millennials and the Gen Zs, and you talk of the different kinds of stressors, I mean, what in your view are some of the key areas that cause the stress? Is it money? Is it work? Is it relationships?
I firmly believe that the way we interact with each other in society is a
Mm.
huge stressor in regarding relationships. Things are digital these days. Everything at the touch of your fingertips. It's on a screen. So that creates a lot of stress with people. Money's always a stressor for millennials and Gen Zers because we believe that we should make more money. We need to have more money. Things are more expensive. It becomes a topic of contention and issue for a lot of individuals. But ultimately, I think the stressors come from the digital era, the battle of comparison. You see something on Instagram or on Facebook or on TikTok, and you feel like you have to be that way. Or if someone has more views or more follows than you do, that you're doing something wrong. That can be a tremendous amount of pressure that's not truly there. And it's honestly a creation of the environment that you put yourself in. So managing those issues and those stressors is critical, and creating positive boundaries is something that millennials and Gen Z has to do. Or the pressure of comparison is going to crush everyone.
And you think that these kind of stressors could result in other health-related challenges to each one of us?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So?
I believe that some of these stressors, such as following certain individuals on Instagram and looking at, well, they have a better physique than I do, or I'm being told I need to lose weight. We see it all the time, especially in our Gen Z population, that all they do is see things online that may not be accurate, and they feel they have to be a certain way, to where you're looking at eating disorders, you're looking at body dysmorphia, you're looking at people who have issues surrounding money and they feel like they don't have enough, or they're not where they're supposed to be at their age. And it creates a lot of stress, a lot of pressure.
Well said. Corey, you're also the experts in the area of sports behavioral health. For my understanding and for the understanding of a lot of our viewers and listeners, what is sports behavioral health and how do you address it for sports persons?
So sports behavioral health is a focus on the athlete as not only a person, but as an athlete and performer. That the pressure and the stress of being a high-level athlete can really, truly be difficult for a lot of individuals who also have life to manage. I mean, you can look at the World Cup going on right now. You're talking about the best football players in the entire world are on the world stage. If they make a mistake, their whole country's looking at them.
Correct.
The whole world's looking at them. That's a lot of pressure. So with sports behavioral health, we help manage those stresses, manage those pressures, create those relationships, those boundaries, and the peace of mind that a lot of athletes need going into the stage, like the World Cup, or honestly any game that they may be a part of, or event they may be a part of.
Interesting. So I have time for two more questions. I'm going to come back to you and your role in the US Army. And my question is, what has the US Army taught you about leadership that you have brought to the Ross Health Group as the CEO?
The US Army has instilled in me that leadership is not about you. It's about the people you lead. Leadership comes down to making the hard decisions that are for the betterment of the whole, not for the one. And for a lot of us, that's hard. That's hard because we can be selfish at times. Leadership is about accomplishing the goal of the whole entire person, not just one piece. So I've taken that and applied that with Ross, is that it's not about Corey Alexander. It's not about how I feel about things. It's about what's the best for the entire community. What's the best for my staff? How can we truly treat as many people as possible? And you have to lose yourself to become part of the team sometimes. And that's true leadership.
Amazing. Great response. And my last question to you, Corey, and this is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation. Based on your own amazing journey, your own incredible recognition, all the great work that you are doing, what would you say are 3 lessons or 3 learnings you want our viewers and listeners to take away from our conversation?
3 lessons or learnings that I want people to take away. Number 1 is that you should live your life in such a way that if anyone wants to say anything negatively about you, no one will believe them. So live your life in a way that if anyone says anything negative about you, people wouldn't believe them. Number 2 is that work hard, but enjoy the little things, because life's not forever. And finally, the last lesson is that it's not about you. It's about everyone you can impact. So sometimes we absolutely we should be selfish, but at the end of the day, we should always try to impact the world in a positive way.
Fantastic. And on that note, Corey, and your 3 amazing lessons, which is live life in a way where no negative points are ever going to be affecting you, and live really in a way that these things don't impact you, and you don't have to believe them. The number 2 one you said was work hard, enjoy the little things in life. In another way, you could say it is work hard and play hard. And the third one you told me, which was what you learned from the Army, which is it's not about you, but about the teams you lead, about the organization that you work for. And from an Army perspective, I'd add one more thing, since I'm an Army officer's son. It's also about the country that you belong to. Thank you, Corey, for speaking to me. Thank you for talking to me about your journey, about the Ross Health Group. Thank you for speaking to me about mental health in such great detail. And of course, I learned something new, which is about sports behavioral health. I had no idea about this term. Thank you again for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you, Ashutosh. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.